Hello and welcome to an all-new episode of Anime Brain Freeze. We are your shiny hosts.
I am John.
And I'm CC, and this is the show where we review all the anime series from the previous season we did and didn't watch start to finish. It's time to wrap up this review season with our last two series from the winter pile. First, I will finally dive back into our trash stash, which we haven't done for a while, to take a look at the wondrous clusterfuck that is Handshakers. And
I'm so sorry.
You don't have to be. It's my own fault and my own decision and my own demise eventually. Anyway. And then John is gonna talk about the slightly incompetent RPG crew of KonoSuba. Yay! Finally. But first, there is actually a bit of news that is worth mentioning.
You were teasing me a moment ago. What is this news?
So, I know we rarely talk about anime that, get announced and everything because, there are not that many details about this stuff, usually just with the announcement and everything, and it's like, okay, eventually these shows will pop up in our sneak peek and in our reviews anyway, so why talk about announcements? But, this has been a project I've been long waiting for and honestly never expected to see in anime form. And this is the adaptation of the manga Pluto, by Naoki Urasawa, who did Monster and 20th Century Boys. And Pluto is set in the universe of Astro Boy. And it's based off a story from an older story from that series. And basic story setup is it follows the Europol detective Gesicht. He tries to uncover this mystery behind a string of deaths, of murders, of robots and humans. Eventually it turns out that, or evidence suggests that the murder behind this, or the person responsible, is a robot too. And that is kind of weird because robot violence hasn't happened for 8 years. And that leads Gesicht to investigate some of, the rather famous characters from the Astro Boy universe, if you are familiar with them, an actual Atom being one of them. Of course, everything looks completely different because, Urasawa drew it, and, his style, it's a very realistic style. It's not cartoony at all. I love that manga. I thought that was a really interesting, cool, dark, kind of somber story with an interesting tone, and took the characters from that universe that I wasn't really too familiar with, to be honest, but still I knew were interesting, and heavy history characters, took them interesting series direction. And the only thing I had to complain about in that manga was the ending. It's like a running theme of Urasawa because he kind of sucks at endings. But for Pluto, it was really random. It felt like an out of nowhere ending, and Deus Ex Machina, really. So that's the only thing I could complain about when talking about that manga. That has come out a while ago, and I never, because especially since 20th Century Boys, an even older one, a story by Urasawa, didn't get an anime adaptation, only live action, who apparently wasn't too good. So I never expected Pluto to actually happen. So I'm really happy this is actually happening. It's gonna be animated, or handled at least, by Studio M2 and a Madhouse director. But Studio M2 only has done Onihei so far, which I haven't seen, so I don't know what that says about the quality of the show, just, what we can expect. Hard to say anything more about this project, but I'm really looking forward to it, just, because of the property, because of the IP. I think Pluto is a great story, great science fiction stuff, and I really hope the anime will do the manga justice. And maybe they will change around the ending a bit to make it a bit better. That would be great.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
If what you're saying,
Yeah, making use of, the freedom of adaptation. If, there is a freedom of adaptation here. I don't know how strict Urasawa is when it comes to handling his material. Maybe he's you don't touch any beat of that story or I'm gonna fuck you up. I don't know. So we'll see. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. And John just told me there's another thing to look forward to, which came out of nowhere, or at least I didn't see that. That made me really happy. What is that, John?
It was announced just the other day that Shokugeki no Soma Food Wars is getting a third season this fall.
That's great news. I'm really happy. If you people have like listened to my review of season 1 and 2 for that show, I really enjoyed Food Wars. Thought it was a great shonen anime with a neat twist. Yeah, I loved it. So I'm really, really looking forward to a new season. I can't wait. It's going to be great. So, long story short, at least 2 cool new anime possibly to look forward to. I mean, for Food Wars, it's a pretty safe bet, I'd say. For Pluto, we'll see. I hope it's handled well. I hope it's going to be animated well. And, you know, that great story gets the treatment it's deserved. We'll see. But yeah.
You know, new studios just kind of spring up all over the place anyway. Like, one of the ones I'd been following in recent years that's been newish is Hideous, and they started off with really small stuff, and they had their own original series, and then they did Magi, The Adventure of Sinbad, and it was gorgeous. So,
that was a good Yeah, and I mean, the Madhouse stuff gets my hopes up pretty much, because, you know, some people from that studio founded like Studio Mappa, and they have done great work on other shows, so especially when it comes to classics and everything, and revamping them. So yeah, I'm hoping for the best, and looking forward to seeing Pluto eventually, whenever that show will actually pop up on our screens. Kazuna is an ordinary boy who is very skilled when it comes to fixing machines and other mechanical things. When he accepts a special repair quest, it leads him to the lab of Professor Makihara and to the girl Koyuri, who is sleeping in a hospital bed in said lab. Suddenly overcome by his memories of his final moments at his sister's deathbed, he touches Koyuri's hand and wakes her up. This unleashes a force that transports both of them to a parallel dimension called the Ziggurat, and Tazuna receives the so-called revelation of Babel. Or Babel? What would it be?
Probably Babel is in the Tower of Babel, because of religious symbolism.
Alright, okay. I'm never sure with, the pronunciation of A in English, so we'll see. But thanks for answering that. Anyway, a mysterious voice tells Tazuna that he must overcome many battles and trials, and that he now wields the power of a hand. As Makihara-sensei explains later, handshakers are meant to fight in teams of 2 and charge each other's powers by holding hands. Well, that begs the question, shouldn't it be hand holders then? I don't know. Anyway,
maybe they were going for handshakers, because when you form a contract or an agreement with someone, you shake their hand. I don't know.
Maybe. But it's really about holding hands here. Like, this is the important thing. So it's weird. But yeah, this enables them to create weapons called Nimrods and fight other handshakers to eventually reign supreme over the Ziggurat dimension and challenge the presumed origin of the mysterious voice, God. I mean, why not? To fulfill their biggest wish, which sounds a bit like fate in my opinion. But anyway, what doesn't these days?
Except, fate is actually good, even though it is at times convoluted too.
And the Studio Dean version aside looks actually good too. So.
Yeah, I mean...
But yeah, problem is Koyori is a bit of a special case, because Tazuna can't let go of her hand for too long or she will die, which complicates things.
Doesn't that raise a lot of questions about certain things?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, questions are raised, questions are answered, at least some of them. Anyway, from now on, Tazuna tries to make the best of his new circumstances, taking care of Koyori and trying to survive the onslaught of just crossing their way. So yeah, initially I didn't bother to take a look at the series because the story summary didn't sound promising at all, for a good reason. But John's glowing recommendation during our last sneak peek got
Don't you throw this on me.
Well, I have to. Partially on you and partially on Jacob Chapman, because I read that review and that also sounded fantastic. So,
yeah, I was just quoting him when he said, you need to watch the first episode just to witness how bad it is, and then you can drop it like a bad habit. But
which
this guy here went the extra mile. Oh, no.
Yes, because I am an idiot, which has been testified many times over. Anyway, let's not beat around the bush anymore. This is a clusterfuck of bad choices, and the most glaring bad thing about the show is its hideous, almost nauseating combination of 2D animation and CG imagery.
Yeah.
I mean, John, you also watched the first episode, so you know how bad this gets. So, the 2D animation itself is not inherently bad, I would say.
I mean, I would argue that there were a lot of points in that first episode where it didn't look great, but,
Yeah, but there are some, there's some really flashy battle sequences that, just from the 2D aspect alone look pretty cool. Just in terms of traditional animation, I think, some nice perspectives, weapons clashing, some neat angles, characters moving around other characters and stuff like that. Some zoom-ins. Just in terms of traditional animation, it looks fluid in certain parts, and it doesn't look too bad. I think the biggest flaw on the 2D front is like the weird bright coloring and shading.
Oh my god, it was making me nauseous how weirdly the colors clash together.
Yeah, everyone looks weirdly shiny. Some of the colors are overly bright. Others feel weirdly muted, which make the characters look way too samey in certain parts.
Hey, this character's supposed to have brown hair, right? Yeah. Just slap a little chromatic aberration on there so it looks like a fucking rainbow. No, don't do that!
And I would accept that if that only happened in the ziggurat dimension. It's like, okay, this is the distorted dimension that also distorts colors, everything. But no, that also happens in the real world, so...
It's a constant thing. It's like, guys, color theory.
Yeah, it's super weird. But the biggest offender, once again, is the 3D CGI work in the show. So pretty much all the environments in this series are CG. This has exactly one and only one advantage, and that is the freedom of camera movement during action scenes, which can also be a detriment, but we'll get to that. The show actually makes a lot of use of that, and which is something I usually generally appreciate. Like in shows like Tales of Systeria, Taboo Tattoo was something where I like that. I think another one, the only good thing I can say about Berserk probably is how, for the most of the time, the show uses its camera because of the CG. The problem is that the CG in this show looks so jarringly dated and different from the 2D animation that those two styles constantly clash in the most irritating and flabbergasting way possible. Pretty much all the CG looks like PS1 full motion video render movie stuff. There is no elaborate cel shading at work here that might help making the CG and 2D animation match up better. And it's not only the environments. Same goes for the weapons, the debris, the explosions. Oh god, the explosions.
Are we talking like on the same level as, dare you say, a Mighty Number 9's pizza explosions?
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Also, the environmental effects. There are weird light rays everywhere that stick out. There's super cheap lens flares, like, I don't know, moving across the screen. Half of the show looks like J.J. Abrams got drunk or high and decided to direct anime for some reason. I don't know. And while I, like I said, appreciate some cool dynamic camera movements, the horrible mismatched animation styles in the show make the fights hard to watch. Like, at times, really hard to watch. There's so much ugly, cluttered, and wonky shit happening on screen that doesn't fit together. Like, the frame rates constantly clash. There are weird, shaky cam movements that don't work a lot of times in a lot of scenes. Let me promise you this. You probably haven't seen anything like this in anime before, and it's a miraculous sight to behold. If your stomach can take you witnessing it for more than a few minutes. Because, it can, like John already mentioned, it can get nauseating. Because there's so much movement, which is not inherently bad, like I said. But, combining that with the mismatched animation styles and the sometimes shaky cam and everything, it jumps in your face and tries to rip out your eyes at certain times. It doesn't work. If you saw some of the other shows done by GoHands, the studio behind this masterpiece, like Coppelion or K Return of Kings, you can already see some of that design and hints of where they were going in those shows. But boy, did they walk down the most hilarious wrong-headed path with the direction and design in this one. Like, they took it, like, to the extreme, like, in the worst way possible.
Like, Coppelion, I felt like, even if the story was kind of a jumbled mess, it at least looked presentable.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you look at this, and it's like, is this really the same studio?
You had 3D environments in Coppelion, but it was much more dialed back and much more presentable. Like, it was watchable. It looked good in a lot of parts. And in K Return of Kings, I only watched like 1 or 2 episodes because the characters and story were really blah. But even that, that also had heavy use of CG. But it's still, just in terms of style and coloring, like matched up much better than in this piece of crap. And
I mean, nothing holds a flame to GoHands' crowning achievement of animation, and that is everybody's favorite Seitokai Yakuin Domo. So,
I have not seen that, so what's the English name for that?
You know, I'm not sure, but it's basically about a bunch of girls in high school, and they have very filthy minds, and that's the conceit of it, that, you know, it's humor based on like very dirty humor. And there's this one character, Suda, who plays the eternal straight man for them.
Okay, great.
It's goofy, but it's fun.
Yeah, animation really bad in this. I also haven't seen that much recycled animation routines over the course of one show since Street Fighter 2V. Like, woof! Especially those CG shots that have like these huge, these long panning shots with the fluid camera and everything. Like, they use that a lot of time. It's always like, okay, this took us way too much time to make, and we couldn't make too many variations of that, which I thought it was exactly the point of using CG to, you know, being able to move a camera in different ways and everything. And I don't know. Anyway, and naturally the budget runs out by the end of the show, so the final fight looks the most boring of them all. So yay, great job, guys.
Unless your name's Trigger and you pour 40% of your budget into one episode.
Yeah, no, they didn't do that. Not even the initial one. The sound mixing is also the worst I've heard in anime and maybe ever. The music at best sounds like something from a conversational event in a Persona game, but they use that during a fight scene? So, no, don't do that. That doesn't work. And at worst,
okay.
Yeah? No.
See, I don't remember that aspect of it just because I put it so far out of my mind after watching the first episode.
Yeah, it's like this weird, a bit slow jazzy sometimes, sometimes it's just like the slow piano music, and it just sometimes plays most of the time that plays during the fight scenes. There's nothing really that like kicks into gear and it's like, yeah, now the fight begins and everything. It's like, it's I don't know, it doesn't work. At worst, it sounds like elevator music. It drops in and out at weird places. Half of the time, the pace and the tone of the music doesn't match the scene it's played in. Like I said, most notable in the fight scenes. Sometimes it's way too quiet, and you can't hear it at all through the sound effects and the voices. And then it switches to a new track all of a sudden, and the volume is cranked up to maximum. And I don't know, it's mind-boggling. Like, who was responsible for the fucking sound mixing in this show? It's crazy. So, in terms of presentation, this show is probably the most glorious, kind of special, uncanny train wreck I've seen. I can't honestly say which has the more irritating style choice, this or Berserk. You know, Berserk is like pure CG and really bad CG, but at least it's consistent in that. And this is like this weird mashup of styles that don't work. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know which makes me sicker in the stomach. Probably Berserk, because, you know, that's also enraging since it's one of my favorite franchises, but still.
Yeah, I was going to say, I feel like that should make you more upset than this.
At least I wasn't emotionally invested in Handshakers, but that also says something about the characters and the story. But yeah, let's get positive again, for a bit, as long as that is possible, or as much as that is possible. Like I said, some of the fights are pretty neat, if you can stomach the visuals. Some of the different weapons the characters use are kind of creative. There's a team that uses really hideous-looking CG chains. Another team uses Yu-Gi-Oh cards to fight. The rest uses some nice sword variations. It's not too bad. Like, it's some pretty neat designs here and there. Also, it's nice that the opponents that Tazuna and Koyori beat stay in the story, and we get to meet some of them on a regular basis, so it doesn't feel like a Monster of the Week show. Some of those characters get developed after the fights a bit more, and a tad, and they become friends and everything, and it becomes like the small universe and family thing, right? So that's kind of nice. It feels like it gives it like this atmosphere of familiarity. And yeah, I kind of like that. That was okay. Sadly, the characters themselves are nothing to write home about. They are not unlikable, with a few noticeable exceptions maybe, but most of them are not super developed, only the most basic stuff, and their traits come down to this kind of standard anime fare stuff. You got an idol that constantly spouts quotes from famous people of history and literature while fighting.
What?
Yeah, I don't know. You got a sadist / masochist pairing. There is a sister that loves her little brother way too much. And there
Japan!
Naturally, it had to be in there. And there's the usual, which also had to be in there in that kind of show. I may look like I'm a child, but I'm actually an adult nonsense girl character. Although, to be fair, they pushed that one to new ridiculous heights. Oh. She's the manager of a restaurant, and they don't even explain her appearance away with, oh, this is a side effect of the handshaker stuff, or she's actually a vampire, blah, 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 or something like that. No, she just looks like an elementary school girl in a business suit, just because. It's just like, okay, it's just like that. It just happens to be. So yeah, yeah, it's really dumb. Also, I wasn't sure if the show was poking fun at itself or if it was just lazy writing, probably the latter. But there were at least two scenes that really stood out to me in terms of their bullshit level. Aside from the characters themselves. But there is an episode with a school festival, and Tazuna and Koyori get roped in to help with the food stand. And then, as it happens, the two designated cooks both break their fucking arms while training for the event in the mountains? Like, what? What the fuck? I can't. And of course, Koyori, who has been wishing to learn how to cook for Tazuna since the previous episode, can now save the day. Hooray!
Yay.
Well, I mean, at least they were kind of building up to it, I guess. So good on them. But yeah, that made me laugh. And there's also this scene where Tazuna and Koyori want to go out, and he complains to his mom that, she treats Koyori like a doll because she dressed her up and everything. And I was like, motherfuckers! You're doing the same thing with her in every episode. Like, I think Koyori's shown off a new, focus group tested outfit in every new episode of the show. Like, okay, what can we put? Okay, we can put her in a nice maid outfit in this episode. Oh, maybe we can put her in a kimono in this episode, and now she got a new nightgown or something. It's like, all right, why? Okay, why is that in that show? Like, why is the show making fun of itself? I couldn't tell. It was funny. The story is also way too slow moving. We get 10 episodes of the two learning to work together and making new enemies, who then turn into new friends. And then in episode 11, we learn Koyori's origin story and then get the final underwhelming fight in the last episode. It's only 12 episodes. It's very short, which is a good thing. But, there's not much story happening in those 12 episodes. We get, new characters introduced with every episode, and then fights happen. maybe some after development for those characters, but not much. And aside from that, we pretty much learn nothing about Tazuna, besides that he has a dead sister. We learn nothing about his parents that he still lives with, besides seeing them in a few scenes. We learn nothing about Koyuri except for the past, last few episodes, and that's also kind of a weird origin story that isn't really resolved. Speaking of resolution, the show also ends on a major cliffhanger.
Oh, good.
With a lot of unanswered questions, and I doubt we'll get a second season. I don't think that... Was that show a huge success? I don't think so. I think the start, I don't know, pushed a lot of people away.
I'm looking at the ratings on Anime News Network, and they're not good.
Yeah, exactly. So I doubt we get a second season to this, and we still don't know, where that dimension comes from. It's already hinted at that, it's not God that stands at the top of Ziggurat, because there's a character introduced pretty much in the final scene of the last episode that's come for me next, blah blah blah. And so we don't learn what happened to Koyuri's parents, which is a pretty big... I mean, you can guess what happened to them, but it's a pretty big deal in terms of story development and everything. So there are a lot of unanswered questions, and I don't think we will get answers to them anytime soon. So
maybe it's for the best.
Yeah, probably. So a visually appalling clusterfuck that doesn't get crazy enough in the story department to merit watching more than one episode for, novelty's sake. If Goen's had used more streamlined character designs and, CG environments that looked like actual 2D anime stuff, for example, like the new Dragon Ball FighterZ game does, if something interesting actually happened in the story, this could have turned out to be an entertaining action fest. But like this, to say it with the main protagonist's favorite words, it just doesn't match.
So, hopefully we're going to take a trip from something that is arguably not good to something that is at least, mildly entertaining. What could I be talking about other than KonoSuba?
Mildly entertaining? You told me this was an hilarious show.
I mean, I thought it was hilarious, but there are opinions on this apparently. But let's talk about the plot. So, KonoSuba is all about Kazuma Sato. He's a shut-in who does nothing but stay at home playing video games, watching TV, and reading comics.
I can already relate.
One day, he leaves the comfort of his room to go buy a new game. That's all you do. That's all you do. He witnesses a girl about to be hit by a truck, and he shoves her out of the way, saving her life. Or so he thought. So it turns out this truck was really nothing more than a slow-moving tractor that didn't even make impact, and instead of living on as a hero, Kazuma dies of shock. So our would-be hero meets with a horrible, terrible end right out the gate. And it's not even
noble like in Yu Yu Hakusho or anything.
It's not even close to being noble.
Though I'm pretty sure that that's exactly the show that opener is making a parody of, right? It sure sounds like it, because that's exactly how Yu Yu Hakusho starts.
More or less, yeah.
Yeah.
So when he reaches his final destination, Kazuma is greeted by this goddess named Aqua. And of course, the first thing she does is berate his death. What a kind goddess.
Mm-hmm.
She tells Kazuma that he can continue to live on in a fantasy land filled with magic, the kingdom of Belzerg, and presents him with a bevy of tools, only one of which he can choose to bring with him. In a snap decision, Kazuma decides to give Aqua a taste of her own medicine and chooses to bring her along. But, it turns out living in a fantasy world isn't all sunshine and roses, as the two have to find, ways to make ends meet, be it with manual labor or taking on jobs at the Adventurers Guild. They basically go from working, like I said, hard manual labor, partying at the nights, spending away all their money on food and booze, and living in a stable when Kazuma's like, we can't keep doing this. We absolutely cannot keep doing this. So, they start their RPG-like adventures, going out, fighting monsters and whatnot. And it's not worded as such, but essentially leveling up, learning skills. They basically frame it such that the characters seem like they can learn skills from other characters. It's like almost like everyone has a shared skill set, which is kind of a neat idea and concept. And as they're going along, they meet a gallery of very unique characters, such as Megumin, an arc wizard with just very much delusional tendencies.
How so?
Delusional such that, I've learned one type of magic. I don't need any other. She can cast spells that a single spell that creates a massive explosion once per day, and then she's completely useless for the rest of the day until she's rested. Then we have Darkness, who is a crusader, essentially a paladin, and there's no mincing word, she's a gigantic masochist.
Is that good? I mean, helps it with the fights or something?
She's like, I can't wait to get in this fight and to have my body brutally beaten. And it's like, honey, slow down.
Well, at least she's enthusiastic.
Until, you see that the enemies basically all ignore her and she can't even hit the broadside of a barn with her sword.
Oh, man.
And then not really part of the active party, but then there's this undead shopkeeper named Wiz. Wiz is, very nice, very helpful, except when you have her interacting with Aqua's very, holy goddess power, it doesn't end well for Wiz ever. So it's, like I said, a very interesting gallery of characters. It's basically them tripping along themselves every step of the way in order to find their next paycheck. KonoSuba it's very aware of what it is. And I feel like it's one of those stories that's taking the piss out of other light novels in spite of being a light novel itself.
Well, if that's done well, that can be great. And I mean, if you have consumed enough light novel anime to recognize the tropes, and if they're good at making fun of those tropes, that, I can imagine that this would be super entertaining. And I mean, you have been down the light novel hole many times. So would you say this is a successful parody of that genre?
Yeah. I would say it's very much a good parody of the whole isekai nonsense that just it started and it'll never can stop.
I mean, isekai stuff has not been a light novel privilege, but it has been done to death in light novel adaptations. That's true.
Let's take a look at how many others out there are that in the title alone say "in another world."
Yeah.
Yeah. Before we started recording, we were even talking about this, in another world with my smartphone.
Oh, God.
There's even a show. There's a show coming out next season, Restaurant in Another World. It's like, stop it. So I kind of feel like this very, like I said, successfully says, hey, so this genre is dumb and boring. Let's make it fun, because the characters are all they're all bumbling idiots, and they constantly antagonize each other. Aqua is constantly calling Kazuma Hiki Neat, or a shut-in Neat. And Aqua just proves herself to be almost constantly useless, so Kazuma's throwing that back in her face. But the thing is, they're antagonizing each other like this all the time, but there are moments when the chips are down, when it's like, hey, maybe they are actually good enough friends to cooperate with one another and actually get shit done. And when that happens, it's like, oh, well, how about that?
Cool moments?
Yeah, there are actually pretty legit neat moments in this show. Some actually pretty neat action pieces in there. So
who animated this?
Studio Dean.
Oh, well, that...
I mean, yes. So if you can set that aside, even though there are some weird-looking moments throughout, I feel like the animation is at least competent enough to carry itself. I mean, hell, it was able to come back for a second season, so
how is the story structured? Like, does it stay on like the slice of life basis and just trying to do the missions and getting the money and everything, or is there like an underlying narrative that is leading somewhere?
Well, there is this bit of narrative that they touch on where there's like this evil demon king that's trying to, conquer the peaceful parts of the kingdom, and, they have encounters with like the demon king's generals. There is the looming threat that decides to show its face every once in a while.
And I assume the topic of the demon king is not closed with the end of the second season yet.
No.
So, do you think there will be a third one?
I hope so. Let me put it to you this way. At the tail end of the first season, they're like, hey, second season's coming. Yay, this was a lot of fun. I'll watch another season of this shit. And then at the end of the second season, it's just like, where's the announcement? Where's the announcement? Where's the announcement? And there hasn't been an announcement of a third season yet, but hopefully it'll be soon, maybe.
I assume the second season was just as successful as the first one, right?
I mean, as far as I can see on ratings, it did about as well as its first season. So
yeah, I would be surprised if there wasn't a third one. But going back to the characters, like you said, they're antagonizing each other all the time. But when it counts, they pull through. Is there some development? Like, do we learn something about the background of the characters and their origin and everything? And, do they change a bit, or do they always stay like on the same terms and everything? Or do the dynamics change a bit?
The characters, as far as I've seen so far in the anime, I think it's a different story in the light novel. We do get looks at their background a little bit. But the group dynamic kind of stays the same. I think there are some dynamics that try to change in the light novel, but, since a lot of this is played for comedy, I think it doesn't quite pan out the way the characters hope.
Yeah, I guess if you are set on a specific brand of humor and, you have character dynamics that work, it's hard to change those up to keep like the same level of comedy or the same style of humor going in certain parts. So maybe they decided against that.
I mean,
that begs the question though, like how much lasting appeal does the show have beyond its comedy aspect? Like, is there more you watch it for than for the goofy comedy, or is it like, I want to see like where these characters go and where they end up? Or is it just, no, I'm only watching this for the laughs?
I mean, the laughs are probably, the number one thing, but I'd like to see what sort of silliness they'd have to go through to maybe eventually defeat the Demon King and his big bads, Mm-hmm. So that all depends on whether it gets another season. Hopefully it does. Because, I mean, the 11th light novel came out last month, and the 12th is coming out next month. So there is that. And there's even 2 spin-offs from the main story about some of the side characters. So
we might get that at OVAs or something?
The first season did have an OVA. I'm not sure if the second one did. I'd have to double check on that, but we'll see what happens in the coming months, years. So the light novels were originally written by Natsume Akatsuki, this is pretty much his big claim to fame. The show is directed by Takaomi Kanasaki, who's done stuff like quality stuff like Is This a Zombie? Tokyo Ravens, which it's been a minute since that show, but I recall you and I both really enjoying that up to the end. I know you took some issue with that.
Yeah. I don't remember quite why. I think because it just was so open-ended, if I remember correctly. And the animation dipped in certain parts really heavily at some point. But I remember liking that series more than I expected to.
Yeah,
sure.
I mean, I had fun with it, but a lot of people, I guess, were really down on Tokyo Ravens, which is unfortunate. Yeah, he also directed stuff like School Rumble and Lupin the Third, Princess of the Breeze, which is a Lupin that I'm not super familiar with.
School Rumble is a pretty big name, though, in terms of,
Oh yeah,
TV
definitely.
series.
A lot of the composition and scripting was done by Makoto Uezu. Apparently worked together with Takeomi on Is This a Zombie? But then did other stuff like Assassination Classroom, Carnival Phantasm, Danganronpa, Space Brothers. So got some big name stuff on there. And the music is done by Masato Koda, who hasn't done a whole lot in anime. There's like Arpeggio, Blue Steel, Chain Chronicle, and Magical Warfare. However, if you get into some of his non-anime credits, you find he's worked on a lot of different Capcom games, including but not limited to like Cyberbots, Marvel vs. Capcom, Devil May Cry. He even did work on Wild Arms 4 and 5. The soundtrack for this show is good stuff. Is really good stuff.
Is it like reminiscent of these other soundtracks? Because some of those I'm familiar with. Or is it like something completely different? Or can you this style is familiar to me?
I would say what it's most reminiscent of, because it's in one of his credits, is Monster Hunter.
Okay. Well, I haven't played any Monster Hunters games, so...
It's like very like loud, brassy stuff with a lot of, just strong emotion. It's really good. It's really fun.
Sounds cool.
Yeah.
So just to close out KonoSuba, who of the merry band of those incompetent party members was your favorite?
I feel like I have two answers.
That's all right.
I like Kazuma just because, just because of how unceremonious his end was, and just how he's trying to cope with this new nonsense that's going on around him, because he thinks, oh man, I'm in this fantasy world, I can be all super cool and whatnot, and then the reality hits him that, so I like that, you see that he sort of understands his own hubris very easily. My other favorite is probably Megumi, because she's best girl.
You have to give a reason for that. You can't just utter the phrase best girl and think you'll be done with it, right? I mean...
Come on. Okay, all right. I just like that, she's like, oh, I think I can be very single-mindedly in my chosen discipline, and that is the thing that undoes her very quickly. And in spite of that, it seems like there are times where she's the most level-headed.
Is she kind of a slacker, or is she just, no, I really believe I only need this?
She really believes she only needs explosion magic.
Like
she really, truly believes it.
Is she like, this is the most efficient way to be a mage in this game? Okay, right. That's a bit misguided, yes. But sure, yeah, it sounds like she's a fun character. So, closing words on KonoSuba from your end.
It's a fun show. If, you're sick of seeing all of these light novels that take themselves super seriously.
All right, we have come to the end of winter season 2017, at least review-wise. But that also means there's something we have to do. Best of the season! So, of course, we have to pick our favorite show from this season. I came to a pretty clear conclusion pretty quickly, and my pick for best of the season must be Kobayashi's Dragon Maid, because I loved pretty much every episode of that show. It was very entertaining, a nice comedy romp, but also had, some depth in terms of the characters and some neat developments, had some nice things to say about relationships and how they change people and everything. I've mentioned that multiple times throughout the season, how much I like that aspect on the show, and how it gave me the warm, fuzzy feelings. Great stuff. I hope there will... I mean, it doesn't have to be just in terms of how this show is structured, but I wouldn't mind having another season of that show, just because it's like a great anime to just come home after work, have a nice, relaxing anime to watch, and, some laughs here and there, and some neat character bits. And yeah, it was just an all-around great, funny, entertaining, and lovable show. So yeah, my pick for best of season, Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid. John, how about you? I think you had a bit of a problem deciding.
Yeah, I hate to sound like a parrot, but I think ultimately, I think Dragon Maid is going to edge out KonoSuba for me too.
I guess that was a tough choice.
Yeah, because I mean, like I said, well, you just got done listening to me talk about how I thought it was, a genuinely enjoyable, funny show. But
And both those series are very very comedy heavy.
yeah.
So, what made you enjoy? Maybe if you really want to pick Dragon Maid as well, what made you enjoy that show or that comedy a bit more than the one of KonoSuba? Or in what way did it edge out KonoSuba?
I mean, I think you kind of touched on it, a lot of it already, just because it was, the nature of how it explored relationships more so than like a lot of other stuff that's currently airing. And just that, I guess another thing I could point out, like in terms of animation quality, the show was spot on as well. KyoAni did not phone it in.
No, not at all. Like, I mean, there's not that much action in that show. There is a surprising amount of action in that show. Like if the studios were reversed, I think Dragon Maid would still like work on a Studio Dean animation budget or standard animation budget, and KonoSuba would probably profit from being animated by a studio like KyoAni a lot more. But yeah, still, Dragon Maid had a lot of scenes that had great fluid animation, and where some of them were really action packed. I didn't expect that, and that was also a nice aspect of the show. Thanks for reminding me. I totally forgot about that. Yeah, great animation in that show. Yeah, definitely. So I don't know which character roster did you like better? Was it like Dragon Maid was like had more characters you were like, oh, this is amazing, or is KonoSuba more to your liking just in terms of how the character dynamics were structured and everything? Or are they comparable, like just, different?
I feel like it's kind of apples and oranges simply because the character relationships in Dragon Maid are a lot healthier than the ones in KonoSuba. Because even though in KonoSuba they are ultimately friends, it's the kind of friendship that's, it's like the kind that you would normally hear like, oh, you fucking moron, blah, 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 that sort of thing.
The typical dude bro man friendship, like bromance, but with an edge.
Yeah,
where you play play tricks on your friends and everything, and cuss at them. Yeah, sure. Yeah, it makes sense. While Dragon Maid is really like, okay, here's this character that is genuinely in love with this other character and adores her, and would die for her and do everything for her, and this other character who is their surrogate daughter and everything, and I guess you got a kind of weird but functional family on the one side and a very much dysfunctional family on the other side. So I mean, each has its merits, so I understand why you would have trouble deciding. But yeah, okay. I assume you're still happy with your choice, though.
Yeah.
All right. I hope next season will give us an equal amount of good shows to pick our best of the season choice from. You, dear listeners, will learn soon enough. We'll be back whenever when do the new episodes hit? Is it next week?
Yeah, next Saturday shows start.
So yeah, of course we're gonna do our new episode after we got at least one episode of each show we are interested in. So depending on how far apart the episode premieres are, we might either take like the usual 2-week break or maybe a 3-week break. We'll see. I don't have the airing dates written down, so we'll see. You will see. Just follow if you're not sure, if you want to be updated. Just follow us on Twitter. Usually we do tweets when an episode gets delayed or anything. Just to be sure, the Twitter handle is @AnnieBrainFreeze. Because there are not enough characters available for anime brain freeze on Twitter. But anyway, yeah. follow us there if you want to be updated, or sure, check our website if you don't know where to get the new episodes and everything. But of course, we're in all the other services, as I remind you of in the coming up outro narration. But yeah, that's it for winter season 2017, and I hope you had as much fun with it as we did. Looking forward to the next one, and see you soon.
Peace out.
And that is a wrap on the 32nd episode of Anime Brain Freeze. All the music in our show is from the Double Dragon Neon soundtrack by the amazing Jake Kaufman. Please go to vrit.bandcamp.com and check out his awesome work. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and animebrainfreeze.com. Leave us comments and questions anywhere you like, or send an email to animebrainfreeze@gmail.com. We would love to read your feedback. Thanks for tuning in. We hope you had a good time, and please join us again on our next show. Macht's gut.
Take care, everybody. Nächstes Mal bei Anime Brain Freeze.
The long-awaited return of a Titanic breakout hit.